Greetings everyone. Today on Icy Tales, I am honored to host Mr. Mayur Kalbag. He is a leadership coach and an author of two wonderful books, Adventures of Purna and a book that I'm lucky enough to own, Aghori and Untold Story. Mayurji, Har Har Mahadev.
Har Har Mahadev, Alak Niranjan, Jai Shankar.
Jai Shankar.
Thank you for having me on this platform to share my views.
It's absolutely our honor, sir. So let's dive into the interesting questions, sir. I would love to know about your childhood. Like, how did it shape you towards this particular field? All the leadership part as well, and also the author thing.
First and foremost, to all the viewers who are watching this, I would like to again exclaim Har Har Mahadev to all of you. May you have a beautiful 2022, which will be a mix of fun, laughter, hard work, smart work, and I would say at a very foundation level, I would like to wish you a lot of spirituality as well, because that's the foundation. Now, coming to your first question, as a childhood and how sort of it got me into what I'm doing now, which is leadership coaching, training, and writing. I grew up in a middle class, a beautiful middle class family. Beautiful because it was, we lived in this kind of an apartment with a common balcony. We call it a chal, but it was lovely because we had neighbors, and it was part of a colony. In Mumbai you have these societies, housing societies. So I grew up with a lot of friends, but at the same time, I also grew up with a lot of elders who would make it a point to, in their own way, influence us youngsters towards stuff like listening to bhajans, participating in the Ganpati Utsav. I believe that was and that is also very important for a child to be exposed to those samskaras. I remember as a child, there was this particular initiative taken by some of the people there in the housing society called Bal Vikas, which itself means Bal Vikas, development of the child.
Development.
And as part of, and it was, I think, connected with Satya Sai Baba and his vision for the kids. So some of the ladies were followers of Satya Sai Baba. They started it, and I'm talking about when I was maybe 7 years old, 8 years old, 9, 10. At that age. So to your question, what shaped me up? I think more than shaping me, it created a good foundation for where we used to go and look forward on a Thursday to go and sit and listen to some of those ladies talk about stories about Mahabharata, Ramayana. Then we used to also sing some bhajan. I believe that was very important because you're at a very impressionable age, when you're 9, 10, 7, 8, and all. And that age when you're flowered and showered with lovely bhajans and talks which are spiritual or religious, it definitely creates an impact. I think as I grew, I didn't go so much to Bal Vikas because that also sort of faded away what had happened. But the good part is that age I got it. But as I grew, I had other exposures, school, college, friends, party, this, that. But through all that, I would say that my parents did a very good thing. They would always take us, me and my sister Priyanka, to Goa. And it was not about just going to the beach. It was going first to the temples. There are lovely temples there connected to our family as well, like Mangeshi, Shanta Durga. And I think that also helped Nitin. Can I address you as Nitin or Sparsh?
Sparsh. Nitin is my father's name, and I use it as my surname.
Okay. Okay, great. So Sparsh, this is how I think I grew, getting exposed to the fact that exposed to good vibrations of through my visits to the temple. Though I was as a child, you don't want to go and you don't meditate there. But I think the whole atmosphere, the ambience of visiting temples and just feeling the vibe, as you millennials always call the vibe. I think I grew up in that vibe, and that is how I believe. To make the long story short, that's how I think I grew up getting an understanding of the tranquility that spirituality brings, the positive vibe that the spirituality brings, I think that's what happened. As far as leadership is concerned, because that's also what you asked, that was interesting because, see, I did my management and finance. And even after that, I wasn't very happy with the fact that I was working with an organization and doing something which I wasn't very passionate about. When I started teaching kids in my building how to recite Sanskrit shlokas, what I realized is that I love teaching. It was not about teaching Sanskrit, which because I'm a lover of Sanskrit and chanting. It was more about a calling that, oh, teaching somebody gives me a lot of happiness. This was probably 99, 2000, but in 2001 when I went to Kailash Mansarovar with my guru, I got a lot of time to analyze about where my life is going from a corporate point of view. Do I get stuck with a company and do my work and still not be happy? Or do I follow my passion of teaching? But will I earn anything if I teach Sanskrit? I mean, I won't earn much because it's not a profession. But when I came back, Sparsh, I got a chance to conduct a workshop. Of course, in between, I also was attending some seminars. I realized I can do training because it's close to teaching. But one opportunity to conduct a training for Tata Motors in 2001 after I came back from Kailash, that opened the door of opportunities. And today here I am as one of the good sort of the top trainers in India, and I also do work in Fiji Islands and Malaysia, etc. So that's my sort of response to your question, how it all happened. Of course, it's a long one, but I'm trying to cut it short because I'm sure you have more questions to ask me.
So I would like to mention a thing here when you said about the vibe of the temples. I recently had the opportunity to visit Omkareshwar temple in Indore. Sir, have you been there? One of the Jyotirlingas.
I have not been there, but
Oh.
I have followed that very vigorously.
So I went there along with a person named Dharam Singh. His Instagram page is Travel with Delhi, and we hosted him on the show as well. So we
Sure.
went there and we went to the Garbhagriha, we prayed, we came out. And that was a moment where like we were five of us and we weren't talking much to each other. Otherwise, on the whole trip, we were talking about Delhi things, about Indore things and stuff like that. But for those few minutes or those few hours, we didn't talk much to each other because it was such an overwhelming experience. And most of us feel the vibration within us. And I'm not even making this up, but if I held my hand straight, and I'm telling you, I was well fed, so there was no thing of me being hungry and my hands shaking. But there, and each one of us was experiencing a vibration. So 100% temples do form a lot of things, especially in childhood.
Do you know why you feel those vibes when you go to such places? I'll tell. If you don't mind, I'll just tell you because
Sure,
I'm
sure,
sure the
sure, sure.
viewers would also love to know why. Why is it? Is it scientific? Is it something like a miracle? I would say it's as beautifully intriguing that a temple is a place where, for example, Omkareshwar as a temple. I'm sure you know that every temple has pujas that are done, right?
Hmm,
Rituals are done,
hmm,
and a part of the rituals is reciting mantras,
hmm,
stotras as part of the rituals. Like artis happen, na? Omkareshwar, mein there are artis, evening arti, morning arti. So when there are a lot of, Sparsh, when there are a lot of people, the main purohits or the priest, all of them singing and in ecstasy, in spiritual excitement and happiness, when they recite those chants, that is that is what creates a collective vibration. The collective vibration turns into one vibration, and that vibration keeps filling up the temple and the surrounding. Okay, that vibration spreads, which is what creates the impact on people who walk into the temple. They feel it. See, music, for example, Sparsh, you're a youngster. You know, when you listen to music, your kind of music, maybe like I love Coldplay as well. I love Imagine Dragons. So there's a beautiful song called Birds. For me, when I listen to some of these songs, I find them very spiritual actually. So Birds. Now, when you listen, as an example, even that creates a vibe in you where you start thinking about life. So it makes you feel differently. Even at an external level, your hands shake a little bit, your
hmm.
body responds in a different way. And that's what happens. It's the vibe of Omkareshwar temple created by a lot of chantings. Also, a lot of people meditate in the temple, right? Especially when you go to these temples, Omkareshwar or other temples. You find some people sitting there with eyes closed. Even those mental vibrations, they will have an effect on you. Let me give an example. I want you to close your eyes.
Sure.
ॐ न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानशः परेण नाकं निहितं गुहाया बिभ्राजते तद्यतयो विशन्ति वेदान्तविद्या न सुनिश्चितार्था सन्न्यासयोगाद्यतयच्छुद्धसत्त्वा आहा ते ब्रह्मलोके तु परान्तकाले परामृतार्थपरिमुच्छन्ति सर्वे दहरं विपापं परमे एष्मभूतं यत्पुण्डरीकं पुरमद्य सगस्थं तत्रापि दहरं गगनं विशोकस्तस्मिन् यदन्तस्तदुपासितव्यम् यो वेदादौ स्वरप्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिलीनस्य यः परः स महेश्वरः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. You can open your eyes now. Now, this is not something where I ask how was it, or it's not a food item. When you eat, I say how was it. It's not a perfume. Hey, how is it? It's not that question is not supposed to be asked. But I'm sure you understood why I chanted this. To
Feels
make
heavy
you
around the
understand
head.
that. Sorry?
It feels heavy around the head.
You feel something, right? That's important. It will have an impact. Now, I'm just a normal dude here. I love chanting. I'm spiritual, yes. But what I'm trying to tell you is, when you go to places which are filled with tremendous vibrations coming out of such kind of utterances of Sanskrit shlokas, you are bound, and especially when you go with a spiritual bent of mind, you will easily allow yourself to feel impacted by these kind of vibrations. And that's why you say, you know what, sir, when I went, I felt something. You can't imagine what I felt when I went to Kailash. 1,000,000 times more. But anyway, yes, that's my answer to your question.
Awesome. So, sir, you mentioned about meditation. We all know that it has tons of possibilities, but for a teenager or for the youngsters of today, meditation is quite hard. I'll have to say that, because sitting at one place with, like, being idle, at least externally, it isn't an easy task to do. So what do you suggest for youngsters? How do they start off with meditation? Even I myself find meditating quite a bit difficult. How do we
Sure. At the outset, let me say that not only youngsters, but even young at hearts like us, we all need to meditate. And not only youngsters like you, but even young at hearts who are even in their 50s and 60s and 70s need not find it comfortable to meditate. It's not about the age. It's about the practice. Okay. So I've seen some people I've come across, even in their 60s, they find it difficult to even sit at a place because they're not used to it. That's one. Because it is tough. I mean, firstly, why is it tough? Is because people have defined meditation, and I'm not being generalistic. I'm just saying that there are some who have defined or understood meditation as sitting at one place. No, it doesn't mean that you have to sit at one place. You can even meditate while doing an activity. I'll tell you what. Let me elaborate. Otherwise, you'll be like, what is he talking about? I thought meditation is sitting at 3 o'clock in the morning in a Ardha Siddhasana posture. That is the highest level, yes. But meditation, please understand, Sparsh, and to all the viewers, what I have learned is meditation is about applying attention to media or a medium. Okay, applying. So what I do is I explain that further. Okay, it is applying absolutely full-on attention to something that is very positive, and that's actually true. So what I don't like to prescribe personally is sitting in one place, okay, and trying to say that I'm now going to go blank. I'm going to keep my mind blank. That's the worst for me, because I rather have something positive inside my mind than completely blank. And if you're blank and I don't want to have any thoughts in my mind, that itself is a thought. I mean, if you're really blank, you should not be even knowing that you're blank, because you knowing that you're blank itself is a thought. The thought that, oh, I'm blank. The thought that I have no thought is what a hypocrisy. You can't. So that's a very different stage of meditation, which, when you practice for years and all, then you reach a different level. And those people don't even define it as meditation. I mean, they call it, for them, it is merging with the super consciousness. Coming back to you, the youngsters who you represent, or the young at hearts that I represent, how do you meditate? I would say it is preferred that you sit, because in Hindi or in Sanskrit, there's a word called sthirata, as in steadiness. If you keep walking and all, you're already getting a little, you're getting distracted bodily as a body as well. You're moving around. So preferably, to your question, how can we do it where we don't feel that, oh, it's tough, is sit at one place. If you can't sit on the floor in a yogic posture, sit on a chair, but keep your spinal cord straight. And do simple activities which will be meditation only. For example, I'll tell you which types of meditation you can do. One meditation you can do is by applying your attention to a medium called sound. For example, suppose I'm doing it right now in front of you. Is you sit with your back straight. I'm sitting right now on a sofa, but of course I'm sitting in a Ardha Siddhasana posture. I like to sit with my cross legs, but you can sit straight, with your feet to the floor. So watch me. So how will I meditate? It's like this. Meditation on sound. I close my eyes, I take a deep breath, and I tell myself that when I say that sound, I will completely try my best to focus and listen to that sound, which is this. If you can just take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you exhale, simply say the not om, but and just concentrate on that. That is also meditation, because those vibrations will have an effect on your mind, inside your body. But if you concentrate on it, you are also you're completely detaching yourself from other thoughts, because your focus is now on the sound of the om. So it's called om meditation. The other meditation is no sound. It is in a way sound, but not the sound that you create like om. It is called the soham or the hamsa meditation, which is feeling your own inhalation and exhalation. It's called soham or hamsa. So it's the simplest meditation. It's same posture, but when you inhale through your nose, keeping the mouth closed, you try and listen to the hiss, like.
Got it.
Now I'm purposely creating a sound so you can hear it, but actually others should not hear it. You should be able to hear that. And then while you're doing that, what do you think? Is you think that you're inhaling purity and you're exhaling impurity. You're inhaling positive energy, you're exhaling negative energy. You're inhaling positive thoughts, you're exhaling negative thoughts. If you think like that, and if you do the breathing like this, just do it for 5 minutes. One of the misconceptions some of the youngsters also have is meditation means you have to sit early in the morning at a particular time called Brahma Muhurta. And that happens because people read a lot, right? It is the best. At that time, they say that a lot of yatis or sadhus and monks at 3:30, 3 o'clock, they start meditating. So that entire atmosphere is filled up with positive energy. But is it practical for all of us to get up at 2:30 in the morning? No, let's be honest about it. You might do it once or twice because you're excited. But if you want to, and to feel the effects of meditation, Sparsh, consistency is very important. You just can't wake up one morning and say, oh, it's 2:30, let me do, and then after 6 months again wake up. It has to be consistent. It's the same with anything that you do and you want to develop mastery, isn't it? Like if you want to become Sachin Tendulkar, like him, you have to go to the nets and practice every day. So even for you to practice meditation, and feel the effects of it, you need to do this every day. But what I've shown you, Sparsh, the Om meditation or the Soham meditation are very, very practical for youngsters as well. Don't wake up that early. Now, we all wake up typically by 7:30, 6:30, maybe, because we all have college or work. Once you have your bath, before you are in a hurry to leave or hurry to sit on your laptop for your work from home or something, we spend time, right, for breakfast. Why can't we spend time a little bit for this? So sit for 3 minutes. Do that. The misconception some people have is meditation means you have to sit for hours. Not really. You can sit. It's not about how many hours you sit. It's about in even a minute, how effective you are. I mean, there are people who sit for 45 minutes, but of the 45 minutes, 40 minutes they're thinking about this and that. They keep checking the phone, but they technically say, I can sit for 45 minutes. Are you really meditating? After some time, the legs start, getting numb. Then your mind starts moving around. You don't want to, but because you feel, oh, I want to tell the world that I'm meditating for a long time. So we have to be practical. Sit for 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. If you want to extend it, maybe 10 minutes. It's up to you. But it's about what you do in the process. I would want you to, all the viewers, if you're interested, start doing it. Start actually sitting. Like after you watch this interview and you watch this clip, even to you, Sparsh, don't unintentionally procrastinate. You say, okay, already it's afternoon, it's 11:30. Okay, the session is over. So Sparsh, you will say to yourself in the evening, before the dinner and all happens, I'll wash my face, I'll refresh myself, and I want to start today itself. So I'm going to sit with my back straight. If I can sit on the floor, fine. Otherwise, on the chair, back straight. And as Mayur has said, I'll start at least doing the deep breathing, and I'll start listening to my breath. Let's see how it comes across. So, Om meditation, Sparsh, are you clear? Right? You got it? Then comes the meditation on your breathing. The third one is also important. It's a little more specific. It is chanting. So in your mind, you can chant something very simple as Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
You can just
I usually do that. Like,
Om Namah Shivaya. Yeah.
Whenever I try to meditate, what I do is I sit on the floor and I mentally chant Om Namah Shivaya. That often helps.
But exactly. So that is the third way is you chant something, but in your mind. Try to do that in your mind. Don't say it loud. The power of mental chanting is far more than the power of just chanting it aloud. And whenever you sit, Sparsh, and to all the viewers, when you say, okay, I'm going to start the meditation, ensure that your entire body is dynamically still. Your entire body is dynamic, not just dynamic, straight and still. Try not to fidget. Don't try to move your fingers. Don't do this and all. Just sit. That sthirata, that steadiness helps you also a lot in feeling the effects of meditation.
Awesome. Wow. Okay, so now we come down to the interesting part about Aghoris. When was the first time that you thought about Aghoris and you seriously thought that I need to do something in this path, like at least meet them or learn more about them, explore more about them? When did that first strike you?
I remember that when I was a kid and we had a temple, a Hanuman temple, just across the road from where our apartment was. I used to be taken by initially my grandfather and then later on by my dad to the temple on the Saturday. Right? Hanuman is worshipped every day, but Saturday is Hanuman's day. I remember that on one particular Saturday when I went, and I must have been around 9 or 10 or something, and so I wasn't too small. I had a glimpse of an entity outside the temple. This is a long time back. I mean, I'm 73 born, so 9 years means it is 1980. 1980. So at that time, it was different, no? So the Aghori was there. I mean, I didn't know who he was. So my first glimpse was of my first experience was just a glimpse of this entity who had ash smeared all over his body, his face. He had long hair, matted hair, and he was wearing just what we call as a langot, or just a loin cloth, I think what it's called. We can't call it an underwear. It's a langot, and that's all he had. He had a lot of rudrakshas, and he was sitting outside. He was chatting with somebody, but you can imagine as a 9-year-old, it was but interestingly, rather than getting scared, I was fascinated, and I wanted to go and go closer to him. Aghoris, their appearance can scare people, their appearance, because we are not used to it. But that's what I don't know, why I felt this ease and comfort to go and want to say, just go and want to be there. I would have spoken anything because I was just 9-year-old or 10-year-old. So I just would have gone. So my father pulled me away and said, "What are you doing?" And so I asked my dad, like, who is he? Because he looked like no human I've come across in my 9 years of life. So he said, yeah, in Konkani, he said, these are Aghoris. Now, that time I didn't know what Aghoris are. Yeah, come on. Even now, people don't know what Aghoris. I think that, you again, an impressionable mind, isn't it? So it latched on to me. As I grew, as Kailash trip happened, as my guru came into my life, and as I read more, I understood there are different types of monks or sadhus. Naga sadhus are there. There are just sannyasis. There are, there's this Adi, there is a lineage of Adi Shankaracharya where we come from. There are sadhus practicing different types of meditation and tantras and etc. As I grew, I'm saying, okay, I understood. And one of those people I understood were Aghoris. So I read about them a little bit. But I understood one thing, Sparsh, that the more I tried to know them, the more I realized that a lot of it, or most of it that is shown, was not the right thing. They were showing things like they live at cremation grounds, which is not true. They eat human flesh, or that's all they do. That's not all that they do. There's a reason. I understood that people have been misled by those who want to make their YouTube videos reach 1 million views or 10 million views, which is okay. But I think that's fine. But I think that's a reason why I'm sure that today you know about me because of a person called Ranveer Alabadia, the Beer Biceps. And I want to mention him is because I thank him that through his podcast, the real deal came about Aghoris. Thank God that he created that platform where I could share through the book, because this book gives that, and you read the book. So, this book opens the door into people realizing that Aghoris are not only about, smearing ash and sitting at the cremation grounds and living there. They live in the jungles, in the caves, they meditate, they have kriyas. So, Sparsh, the more I came to know from others through books and all, I realized there's so much more that people don't know. They know a little bit, or they know only that part, and they are glorifying that. And there's so much more. And that's why I sort of made it a point to find out directly from the Aghoris, and not just make my own assumptions by watching them or spending half an hour with them, just sort of laughing with them, just asking some pleasantly stupid questions only. And I think it's because also of the blessings of my guru that when you practice your own japa, Sparsh, for years, I think internally you become more stable and mature, that you just can't ask stupid questions. You have to also to be more stable in your mind, spiritually be a little more smart. You just can't go. So when I went to meet the Aghoris, I was very clear that they should know that I'm not there to even click pictures. I didn't take my mobile. I didn't take anything. I just went the way I am because I wanted to absorb knowledge from them or knowledge about them, just so that I could share. I think they appreciated that.
So when you first talked to an Aghori, what was the feeling like? What was going on in your head, and how was the whole atmosphere about that?
Sure. Let me first and foremost tell you that I can't reveal a lot. I can't reveal a lot. I'm not supposed to, which is fine, I guess. Sometimes you're told, right? Don't, because some people won't understand. And sometimes locations and all you don't, because sometimes people will go to that location. I heard some people telling me, I also want to go and meet an Agori. I said, it doesn't happen that way. In my case, when I wanted to, it happened through a contact. It has to be through somebody. You just can't go there. They are different entities. They live in a very different world. They don't, what we think our world is, they don't. So the first thing, I think the advantage was the fact that when I was 9 years old, I had the first interaction. So it was not like, oh, and all. But yeah, I can tell you one thing, that seeing an Aghori's picture, okay, on a Google, or seeing a YouTube video, you see these pictures of Aghoris. You obviously feel something, isn't it? They look different. When you see, when I saw the Aghori in real, it just gives you the chills. They are scary. They're scary in the sense, no, I don't want to say scary in the sense that they make you feel negative, but you'll realize that they're different entities. So in my case, because I had a contact and they knew that I'm coming to meet, it was easy. You know what I'm saying? There was no suddenness to it. It wasn't like, hey, ye bacha kaun hai? They knew, okay, because I had to do my homework as well to find out. It took some time. But yes, when I sat, I think what I understood is, though they look a little aggressive, they are not actually aggressive. What they want is respect. What they want is the other person to be mature. Probably when most of the people, when they go, they may just keep staring. Just keep looking. Even I was, but then I realized you can't keep staring. They don't like it. You have to maintain an eye contact, but it's good if you don't look at them all the time. So you look a little down with respect, with reverence. And also, I think conversation helped me. When they understood, when they heard what I had to say, when they listened to my tone of sincerity, the tone, then they understood. I think that initial part, when I saw, I was a little scared, and that's fine. There has to be a little bit of fear as well. You just can't walk in, right? And then I think once you are with them, when they start talking to you, you don't look at them, you listen to them. So that's how I would like to respond to your question is, I think once you gain their trust, once you make them understand that you're not there to take something and then put it on on a social site or something. And also the questions that I asked, it's a lot of them were also about my personal spiritual quest. So if you go there as a sadhaka student, I think they will understand. But if you go there only for GK, general knowledge, they may not. They live in their own world. They're like, I care a damn who you are. I'm doing my stuff. You've come to meet me, so you better prepare yourself. We are not there to say, have you ever seen an Aghori giving a pravachan, giving a lecture? They're in their own zone, isn't it? We are the people. But it's good that I got to meet them, because I got to understand them. And that is what helped in this. A lot of it. I also did my own extraction of knowledge by watching videos as well. Because, sometimes you need to know what the world thinks. I'm not saying all the videos were depicting them in a negative way. There are certain videos which were fantastic, where I understood that even there is an Aghori temple in Madhya Pradesh, that they revere the Aghoris. So it's not that every video is bad, no. But many people do, no? They don't know much. So they will only glorify that which they know. If they knew more, they probably will glorify that as well.
Awesome. Sir,
I
you
hope
mentioned...
I answered your question.
100%. You're answering more than I asked, and I'm loving it, absolutely.
All right.
So, you mentioned a few times about Kailash Mansarovar. I haven't been lucky enough to be there, but sir, what is the atmosphere like? Is it something physical that you feel there, or is it all mental, like a sense of calmness, or maybe something related to that? Because I had once seen a video like a few years back of Sadhguru taking some people to the Kailash Mansarovar.
Right.
And they felt strange things which a normal human on a normal, like living next door, won't feel. What was the feeling like? Was it something physical? Was it? What was it?
I'll begin my answer to your question by telling you that I went to the Kailash Mansarovar when I went there in 2001. I didn't go there as a tourist.
Hmm.
I want to visit Mansarovar. No, I didn't go there as a tourist. I didn't even go there as just a devotee who is very spiritual. I just didn't go there as a devotee. I went there with my guru, Swami Sadyojat Shankarashram. And I was also blessed enough that Swamiji, you know, brought me into doing seva office to carry certain things and all. So I was there to do seva as well of my guru at Kailash Mansarovar. So I went there as, in a way, a shishya of my guru there, along with my guru. Going there as a tourist is one. Going there as a devotee is one scenario. One scenario, the other scenario. But going there with your own spiritual guru, a yogi, a Mahapurush, an enlightened one, and that too being put into his seva, has and had its own. That really gave me a very different experience. But even if I keep that aside as going with my guru, which was unbelievably life transforming for me, to answer your question more specifically, what did I feel? And that's a good question. I didn't. I mean, I saw what I saw is that which I could say was literally as though you are on a different planet, except that there is gravity. But in fact, I say that there could be other planets across the
Hmm.
zillions of galaxies where there could be, gravity as well. I felt, we sometimes use the word, oh, this was out of the world, right? Out of the world experience. That is really an experience you feel like you're not on Earth, yeah. Because especially when I looked at the Kailash Parvat does not even look like a typical mountain. If you see the picture,
Hmm.
it looks like some sort of a crystal, uh, because the rock is different. It's not just a mountain; it's something different. It's not triangular like that. It is spread out. It's different. And then to see the Manasarovar in front of you, Sparsh. Mansarovar, by the way, is the world's largest freshwater lake at the height of
Hmm.
almost 16,000 feet above sea level. That way, in Siberia, there is the lake called Lake Baikal, which is the world's largest lake. But Manasarovar is the largest freshwater lake at that height. So imagine when you're seated there, surrounded by the Himalayan mountains, and you see that lake, which looks like an ocean. Imagine the second largest lake at that height. The clouds almost three-dimensional, so white, almost close to you. Imagine the impact. Now, this is what I'm talking about, what I saw. It's not, I mean, what you feel is different. I'll come to that. But even what you see can impact you. Now, what I felt, especially if you're a practitioner of some sort of meditation, like earlier I talked about Om meditation. So I've been initiated into mantra japa. So I was there, and Swamiji would always tell all the shishyas and students that please continue with japa. So I was doing that. So what did I feel? I would say internally when I closed my eyes. In fact, I never wanted to close my eyes because the whole place was so beautiful that if I close my eyes, I was like, I'm going to miss this view. But I prefer to close my eyes when I meditate. So I was doing my mantra japa. You will not believe the kind of thoughts I was getting, the kind of motivation I was getting about life. That is what changed me now. That is what made me feel strong that when I come back, I'm going to change my career. And I did. It rejuvenates you, the entire, and that's where again, we talked about Omkareshwar and the vibrations and the vibe, right? There, invisibly, like in an invisible form, there are a lot of yogis who meditate because they find that place is the highest, or the place with the highest potential to potential to allow yourself to be impacted by positive vibrations. That place. because there are so many advanced yogis who meditate there. It is said that there are certain yogis who even are able to go underwater beneath the lake of Mansarovar and meditate. See, we don't understand, but there are so many people who you might come across who have gone beyond what we think is normal, like breathing. We may think that, oh, this person can hold the breath for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. There are people who have trained themselves. They can hold their breath for 30 minutes. Normal guys, but they train. Yogis have reached a different level where they can have control over their what we call our involuntary, movements of the body internally. They can control that. So when you go and meditate, do your japa with your eyes closed, you feel, you get connected to those vibrations, and that has an amazing impact on your thinking process. Do you see God when you go to Kailash? Do you see Shiva there? Well, I cannot say that you see Shiva standing there. Hello, Har Har Mahadev. No, 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 no. It isn't that easy. You can feel the energies, yes. Like when I stood and saw the Kailash, you're there at a place and you are there, not very close to Kailash. You can't go that close, but you can see the Mount Kailash. And you know that there is an energy in the form of an entity, which we call Shiva. It is there somewhere. And believe you me, when you feel that, yeah, I'm right there. And there is this Shiva entity there. Can you imagine what it feels like? Like imagine you go to Omkareshwar temple and you say, and somebody tells you Shiva is right here, energy. You'll be like, what? So, and I'm at Kailash, which is, I call it the headquarters of Lord Shiva, who I believe is not just limited to Earth or India or Bharat. In different forms, that Shiva energy reaches different people. So that's my answer to your question. I saw and I felt, both happened.
Awesome. Sir, have you met those Aghoris or sadhus who have lived for centuries, 200, 250, 300 years? Have you personally?
Not in this life.
Okay.
Like I told you a little before the session started. Many people ask me, and which is cool, they ask me, hey, sir, one thing I want to know, are these events real? Or they ask me, are you the Subbu? Mayur has, yeah, I know. And then they ask me, have you experienced all this? So my one answer, which has been mentioned in the preface, is I leave it to you, to the reader, to infer whether this story is fact or fiction. But if you actually read it and read between the lines, what I'm saying is it is part fact, part fiction. But it is fiction for me if I have to connect it to this life. I mean, when I was writing, to give you a little insight about my writing process, I never created this like a story that I'm going to be writing, make some notes. It just was flowing. I just had the laptop and I would sit and start writing. I would get these thoughts or visions, honestly visions. If you saw, you read the book, right? There's that part where the Aghoris take Subbu to the Himalayan caves, right? And then he sees the light. That's all the visions I was getting. I was myself smiling at myself. What is happening? Why am I getting? And that kind of specificity. The cave on the top, then he walks to the cave down. And when I'm typing it, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the color of the flowers there. I'm seeing those people. I'm in that. And I therefore, like I said to you before, some things you can't explain. I mean, people can't even explain the taste of water. How can I explain the taste of my past life experiences here? Or not taste, I mean, so there's something that my soul has experienced in certain previous lives, which got awakened. In fact, why would I even why was I attracted to Aghori when I was 9 years old? It starts from there. Some things you can't explain in words. You can't articulate. But if you as a viewer can understand where I'm coming from, And it's about belief. I mean, somebody will say, "Hey, are you crazy, Pastor? I don't believe." Fine, that's his faith. I come from a faith which believes in previous births, and I believe that something must have, I must have been, my soul must have been in a form which was spiritual, which was connected to all this, and that's why I feel very attracted to such entities. And I'm not the only one. There are many of us who feel that way.
Hmm. Sir, can you please shed some light on black magic if possible? I believe it's still practiced in some places, right?
Okay, so I would say that, listen, have you heard of the word? Have you heard the word twisted? Right?
Hmm.
Have you heard of the sentence, "Hey, don't twist my words," right?
Hmm.
Twist or misinterpret or misuse. So I'll stick to the last one, misuse. When something can is when something that is positive is misused, then the white can be turned into black magic. Okay. There are a lot of mantras, tantras, instruments which are actually being done for the betterment of humanity or for the betterment of an individual. Um, for example, when a person buys a house, the person says, "I would like to do a homa, a yajna,"
Hmm. Hmm.
okay, or a Satyanarayana puja. That's white. It's not magic, but it's white. It's positive. There are people who are experts, but unfortunately, maybe because of the greed, and they know how to do some things, they've also misused it. Got it? And that misuse of something positive has, in a way, if I can use that word, has turned white into black, where the same or similar kind of mantras are used to hurt somebody. Hurt in what way? Indirectly. Jealousy is a very, very prime reason for black magic to be performed, unfortunately. And that is why I find that spirituality should be very, is very important. Because when you are spiritual, you become a better human being. You don't want to do stuff like that. So black magic is something that is to do with using or misusing certain chantings, invoking certain spirits, and using those energies to hurt somebody. May not be even at a physical level. Also, it happens. I know people who've been hurt physically, but not literally. Health gets affected, mind gets affected. But for those who practice black magic, it affects them as well, because when you do damage to someone, it will hit you back. If not now, later. If not in this life, in a different life. And that's what I want to explain as black magic. I mean, different ways are there. You'll have what is voodoo, right? Voodoo, black magic. They make a puppet. They make puppets, of a person who actually, that voodoo puppet or a doll, voodoo doll, is a smaller version of that person they want to hurt. They'll try to extract a hair follicle or something that belongs to the body of that person, and they'll attach it to the voodoo doll. Then they lose some chanting, and that happens anywhere, not just in a country like USA or any. It happens here as well. They call it different names. So that is what it is, and therefore it's my humble request to all of us is, to some extent, it's okay to understand it, but please go for the white. Practice the japa, recite chants, fill yourself with positive vibrations. In fact, the more you fill yourself with positive vibrations, it forms a protection layer, a kavach. Nothing will, as much as possible, you'll not be affected even by anybody trying to do any harm to you as well.
Sir, about the book, you have already mentioned how it flowed through you. When was the first thought of writing a book like
Oh,
this?
yes.
When did it come?
Yes. Good. I'm happy that you asked me this question specifically. I'm extremely happy to tell you that the book has been received very healthily. The qualitative feedbacks I'm getting is soul touching for me. There are people who read the book twice, thrice. There's one person who read 4 times. And I'm like, who's the author of this book, yeah? That you read the book 4 times. The good part is the book is only 140 pages. I mean, just it's a small
Mm-hmm.
book.
It's
So
it's
people, so even a non-reader who's interested in a subject like this, sorry, he will still say, okay, yeah, it's not a big fat book that I'm going to get stressed out. Let me start. Let me start reading. He says, I think that somewhere after I came back from Kailash Mansarovar, I got this thought that I must express myself through writing and share more. Firstly, I thought that I must know more and more about Aghoris, and it was connected. Why would I want to know? I said for me, and maybe there are some people or many people who don't know. So the shaping up happened, Sparsh, not just overnight. It happened as it grew. But I think the birth of the thought to write mostly I think happened when I was doing the parikrama of Kailash Mansarovar, that I should write something. And then it took the form of a proper book as and how I developed more and more knowledge. In fact, let me be honest, going to the Aghoris and meeting them, it there also I was not very 100% sure I'm going to write a book. It was to
mm,
just understand. But I think that helped me to realize, oh my God, there's so much more. Surely I must now go back and follow up on my own passion that I have to write the book. So it was a little subjective. It wasn't like thak thak thak. I'm going to write a book. It took time to build up. And the more I got to know about the Aghoris, the more I was able to affirm to myself that I have to write the book. People should know about it. But it's in the form, and like I said, it's in the form of a story. It's in the form of an adventure. So it should not be like a mechanical theory, documentary type of a book, like a textbook. It should be that people, through the adventure,
mm.
they should enjoy and also learn a little bit. So yeah, that's how it happened.
A question from the book you mentioned about alien beings. Not you've not used the word alien, but you have indirectly mentioned alien beings. So what is your perspective on? Like, I personally know your perspective from the book. I want something for the viewers,
Sure,
and I agree to your perspective
sure.
to a good extent as well. It is quite.
Thank you. See, are we, is this human race as well as the other entities that we see in the form of animals, birds, flowers, bacteria, amoeba, fish, animals, me, you, are we the only living, existing entities in this solar system? There is an Earth, which is part of the Milky Way galaxy. There is a moon to it. There are so many planets. The Milky Way galaxy is one of the millions of galaxies across the unending expanse of this universe, and we are so unintentionally and pleasantly arrogant to think that we are the only lovely beings. No. So that's the premise on which I believe that there are entities. I know for a fact that there are certain entities who have connected with some of our entities on Earth. And some of these entities are those advanced yogis and mahayogis. I wanted to bring that part in the book to make people understand that don't feel confined to the belief that we are the only people existing. There is existence beyond. And, I said in the Beer Biceps podcast, and I'm saying here, people have been fed the knowledge that aliens means triangular face, big eyes, looking at. Come on. I mean, they could be alien energies which don't even have a form. We sitting here are creating our own assumptions. So even I'm creating an assumption, fair enough, my own assumption that maybe they don't have a form, but we don't know, right? But some of us know. Some of us know. And that is what I wanted to bring out in the book, that through the story, in one instance, in that particular story, they're sitting on the edge of a lake in the Himalayas, and they see a light coming in, right? Something through the sky. And then one of the Mahayogis says, oh, I think that yogi has just entered, right? Because it happens. Just because we haven't seen something doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
And one has to reach a particular point of meditation and sadhana to be able to even understand this and also understand and also pick up those vibes. There are certain people who have the strength and the spiritual ability or the siddhi to even make themselves completely invisible. There are some who also have the spiritual advancement to do astral projection, astral travel. In fact, astral
mm,
travel is pretty popular. Many people know where you can come out of your physical body and travel through space. So obviously, there's so much, and that's what I wanted to bring through the book, and that's what gets people very excited. But my question, my motto, Sparsh, is not only invoking excitement in the reader, but also invoking questions. I want those questions to come out, even if the answers will come later. Seek answers through your questions.
okay. So one question is about changing the perspective of the youngsters, or at least telling them what's right. Because nowadays, what we see a lot on social media is the youth of today is mostly attracted towards, discarding our traditions, our cultures as myth or as bare stories. Like even if you take
Sure.
the example of alien beings coming on Earth, they'll most
Right.
probably discard it. If we talk about Aghoris doing intense sadhana for years, they'll probably discard it
Yeah.
as myth कि ऐसी फालतू की कहानियां बना. What is your message
Right.
for them
Right. Right.
regarding their outlook towards our culture?
I would say that today's youngsters are actually, as I've seen, I have so many people, uh, Sparsh, I have so many people who are connecting with me on Instagram, um, like you being one of them and others, who are youngsters, and I would pleasantly beg to differ with you here,
Sure,
um,
sure,
and
sure.
tell you that you'll be very pleasantly happy, surprised to know
100%.
that there is a kind of a revolution happening in the minds of the youngsters. And thanks to people like Ranveer Alabadia, who himself is a youngster, he's 28,
Mm-hmm.
because, and that's what I appreciated about him is his podcast. If you see, there are a lot of these people coming in and talking about such kind of stuff. And his podcasts are seen by millions of people. A lot of them, maybe 80 to 90%, are all millennials.
Hmm.
So I would say first is there is a change happening thanks to their biceps and many other podcasts, I'm sure. And maybe with the blessing, some of us who come on those shows and share. 10 years back, maybe things were different. Maybe this question would have been more applicable. But now I find youngsters, the pandemic also has played a role.
Hmm.
Today, youngsters have realized that they can't keep looking at the mobile all the time and just doing, social network and all that is okay. Now they also want to, we are all affected by the pandemic. We want more happiness, and spiritual aspects give more inner happiness. They have felt that. Do you know how many, there are so many of my Instagram friends who follow me on Instagram. When I come live on Instagram, you'll be surprised to know so many people. I'm not going to say a lot, but many people. They say, "Sir, please can you chant the Shiva Tandava Stotra, please?" There are so many who have recorded it, or they've told me, "Can you please put it on like a record?" They've written it down. They've learned it. When I've come on Instagram, they said, "Sir, can I please chant it?" These are
I
youngsters.
actually had planned to ask you to recite the Shivatanda Stotram.
I
I
will, I
planned.
will, I will.
Sure, sure, sure.
At a point, I will. But to complete my answer, the revolutionary change of thought in terms of just thinking about materialistic life only, that has changed, and now youngsters are also opening themselves up towards understanding, hey dude, I'm getting the vibe, man, of this Himalayan thing. I want to go there, dude. That's happening. I think even great entities, uh, spiritual entities like Sri Ravi Shankar, the art of living, they're playing an amazing role in bringing youngsters to at least open themselves to understanding what spirituality is. I also love Sadhguru and his teachings, his YouTube videos play an amazing role of influencing youngsters to at least open themselves up. It's not about trying to convince the youngsters. You know how youngsters are; they don't want to be pushed,
Hmm.
but they say, "Let us find out," and that's a great step forward. So my answer, long story short, is I don't have to do much. The youngsters are seeking more and more opportunities to know more about these kinds of topics. So you want me to recite the
100%, I love it, sir.
okay. So I'm a bit spontaneous. So I'm not going to wait for you to ask a question. For me, reciting something like this uh, is a way by which I can tell the people watching, the youngsters, that I may be older than you, but I feel excited when I recite. You too do the same. It's sort of trying my own way to influence the youngsters to get interested in chantings. So let me recite. Om Jata Kata Hi Sambhraman Brahman Nilimpa Nirjhari Vilola Vichi Vallari Virajamana Murdhani Dhagat 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 Jwalalla Lata Patta Pavake Kishora Chandra Shekhare Rati Pratikshanam Mama Kada Nilimpa Nirjhari Nikunja Kotare Vasan Vimukta Durmati Sadashirasta Manjalim Vaham Vimukta Locha Lama Bhala Lagnaka Shiveti Mantra Mucharan Kada Sukhim Bhavamyaham. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Sir, you mentioned quite a few times about being initiated into mantra japa. How does that process take place? Out of curiosity.
There are different ways of meditating. Like I said, there is Om meditation, breathing. You concentrate. There is something called Trataka. You keep a flame and you focus your eyes only on the flame. Trataka meditation. Mantra japa is also a form of meditation. It is, but it is not where you just say I'm doing mantra japa. No, at least where I come from, it is something which a guru initiates the student, the shishya. So in my case, since you asked me the question, when I was 1997, that means I was 93, 73, 77. I was 24 years old. When I was 24 years old, I had been to my native place where our mutt is, spiritual mutt is. My guru was there. He had just been ordained as a Mathadipati in 1997. I went there in 1998. Sorry, sir, let me say this clearly. I was there in 1997, November. In 98, my guru came to Mumbai. So in 97, I got initiated into Mantra Japa. What it means is the guru makes the student sit in front. The student takes a sankalpa that he or she will practice with sincerity every day the repetition of this particular mantra, which is only meant for that student. That mantra japa, or that mantra that needs to be japa as in repeated in the mind, should not be told to anybody. It's a guru shishya connection. That's how it's called a mantra japa initiation. And once the initiation happens, the student goes back wherever he's from or she's from, and every day at a particular time, at a particular place, preferably with a bead, japmala, keeps saying that mantra. Now, in that mantra, there is something called a bij akshara. Okay. And so if a mantra is Om Namah Shivaya, when it is initiated to the student by the guru, it is not Om Namah Shivaya. There is a bij akshara. So the mantra becomes different. That's all I can say, because I can't tell you more about the mantra that I have been initiated, but this is how the process is. I think I've gone as deep as I can in terms of answering your question. It's a very personal, private thing between the guru shishya, where the shishya is initiated and then the shishya goes and starts practicing, and it has amazing effects on the mind and the body and the actions.
Sir, unfortunately, that had to be the last question because such a heavy conversation. I do not seem to think of anything else as of now. But it was amazing talking to you, sir. Seriously, even if I have to say it off the records, I'll say it without any hesitation. One of the best experiences I've ever had, and I've not said this quite often. out of the interviews I've taken.
Sparsh, can I just say something to add a
Sure,
little
sure.
value to your valuable perspective? Um, Thank you for what you said about what you felt. I've always felt that as a person sitting across, I will be at my most effective, most passionate, most impacting, most sincere only if the person across gives me the space, gives me the openness to, and gives me the, if I can put it, puts the right questions. Right, as in the questions which will, the answers to which will appeal and touch people. And therefore, I have to thank you as well, isn't it? Because because of the way you interacted with me, you made me want to speak more and express more, and hopefully I was able to respond to all your questions with the same kind of effectiveness. I do want to request you to please do let your viewers know that the book is there for all of you to read, right? So, in fact, if I can just say to the viewers, please do
Sure, sure.
enjoy the journey. It's there on Amazon, right? Sparsh, it's there on Amazon, and
And
you can
the
always go
ebook
and
version is there as well.
the ebook version is there. But can I just say this, that this is best.
The
Ah,
smell is
the feel,
unbeatable.
the feel is good. The feel is good of the book, the paper, and it's a small book. You can also treasure it. But to all the viewers and to you also, thank you so much for having me on your show. I hope that lakhs of people are going to watch this, and not just thousands. So try your best to see, since you have given me a compliment that it has made the whole interview one of the good experiences we've had. Let's hope that other people also benefit from it and it spreads like wildfire, a positive spiritual wildfire.
Sure thing, sir. I myself hope. Thank you so much.
So I'd like to recite a shloka. I always do that either at the beginning or the end to conclude from my side. Can I do that? A small
Sure,
shloka.
sure, 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 sure.
Om Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shakta Prabhavitum न चेदेवं देवो न खलु कुशलस्पन्दितुमपि अतः स्वामाराध्यां हरिहरविरिञ्चादिभिरपि प्रणोतुं स्तोतुं वा कथमकृतपुण्यः प्रभवति. Om. Thank you very much.
Om Namah Shivaya.